you very much. I welcome Civil Aviation Safety Authority officers. Does someone want to make an opening statement? Okay, then we will go straight to questions. Thank you very much for appearing so late. Senator Roberts, you have the call. 15 minutes max, hopefully shorter.
15.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for appearing. I want to ask about the Qantas plan and an urgent landing at Sydney Airport in March after the captain suffered chest pains. Has a full medical report been done on this pilot for his CASA licence after this event?
Sorry, Senator. Pip Spence, CEO, Civil Aviation Safety Authority. I don't have that information in front of me, but I'm happy to take it on notice and provide you with a response.
No one's got that information?
No, sorry, Senator.
Did the pilot have a COVID-19 mRNA jab?
As I said, Senator, I don't have any information on that incident, but I'm happy to provide that on notice.
Did CASA's medical investigation specifically screen for the conditions associated with adverse events from COVID-19?
As I said, Senator, I don't have any information on that incident. I'm happy to take it on notice.
Okay, let's move slightly. I'm assuming you're still refusing to draw the number of times the word myocarditis appears in your medical record system and provide it to the committee, even though you're capable of doing it?
I think, Senator, we gave you information in response to your questions on notice, just explaining the time involved associated with doing a search for those the terms you mentioned, how long it would take to do that.
So you are still refusing. You've made your position clear. You can do it. You just think it could be misleading. Now you're saying it might be too much work. I just wanted to ask if you are still maintaining that you will refuse over that answer. So I'll ask you to take it on notice once again, and the proper process is for the Minister to raise the public interest immunity claim. Are you aware of that?
I think, Senator, what we can take on notice is has there been any further references to that term in our system since the last time we gave you that answer, and then we can provide you advice on how long it would take us to actually do any more detailed analysis about the basis on which that term was used.
Say that again, please.
I said, Senator, we can take on notice, providing you with an update on the number of times based on a search that since the last time that those terms have come up in our system, and we can also provide you with advice on how long it would take us to do individual analysis of each time those words came up.
Well, what I want is the information. No qualifications, I just want the information. So if you're not going to provide it, I want public interest immunity claim. From the Minister.
So, Senator, we're taking it on notice, I think, is the process that's normally followed when
But if you're not going to give me the data that I want...
Roberts, you've asked the question, it's been answered, it's been taken on notice. We're limited for time. I suggest you move on.
Thank you. Have you ever been consulted in relation to wind turbines that are being put up on prime agricultural land and the effect this will have on aerial agricultural operations like crop dusting?
Senator, we are consulted. Our views are often sought in relation to the establishment of wind turbines. We provide our views on it. We don't have a decision-making role as to whether or not those turbines can be installed.
So you do give guidance?
We provide advice on what the impact might be.
Some of these issues have been raised over 10 years ago with CASA, I understand, directly. Are you being asked about these developments today?
Yes, we're still being asked. And as I said, we don't have a decision-making role, but we certainly provide advice on any aviation impacts for the decision-maker, which is usually a local area council.
So you don't make a final decision on that?
No, Senator.
So you just provide safety advice?
That's right. So we don't have any decision-making role in those areas.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Senator McDonald, you have the call.
Thank you very much, Chair. Hi, Ms Spence, how are you? You would have heard me just asking questions of Air Services about the Townsville ILS decommissioning.
Yes.
Have you been approached by Townsville Airport to provide alternate
Not that it's been brought to my attention or any of the witnesses who are here today, but we'll certainly take it on notice to see if it's been within the organisation.
Yeah, I would appreciate that because you heard my frustration. It just seems extraordinary that we're talking about providing lesser services in a significant part of Queensland. So if you would take that on notice.
Certainly, Senator.
And what your understanding is, what the alternate landing methodologies will be, and we don't want to have the same issues as Mount Isa. Thank you. I want to turn to issues around expected timeframes for delivery of services in relation to inquiries from customers. Do you have a delivery service metric for relation to FOI requests?
We meet the normal standards, whatever the Australian government requirements are for turning around FOI requests.
Right. So have you received complaints about delays in responding to FOI requests?
I think we have received complaints. It's not a regular issue that's raised with us, and we've also monitored how we're actually tracking against those requirements. And I think with some minor areas where we've been 1 or 2 days late, we generally do operate within those FOI requirements.
Okay. Is any of those about reallocations between staff members based on workloads?
Senator, not that I've got in front of me, but I genuinely don't know, Senator, but happy to take that on notice.
Okay. I'm getting feedback about the capability of resources that have been allocated to responding to questions from industry. 2 matters in specifics. Some is from part-time staff, and the other is from staff who are not experienced. Can you provide me with any feedback on what you see is happening?
Sorry, Senator, I think I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about freedom of information
I was talking
requests.
about freedom of information.
I think
I've shifted gear.
Okay, all right. So in terms of publication, in terms of our service level standards, we've recently published a dashboard from about the middle of this year, which includes timeframes for all our service level standards and also tracks in real time how we're delivering against those. Issues are raised with us about the timeliness, and I think our main thing at the moment is being transparent about how long it's taking us to help industry to plan according to what we know is doable, but we're also looking at all sorts of alternatives to how we can actually reduce the time it takes us to deliver regulatory services to industry, because we recognise the importance of what we do to keep industry operating.
Would you be able to share with me that dashboard, please?
Yes, certainly, Senator. We can send.
Thank you.
The link. Yep.
Again, the feedback I'm getting is that the CASA front desk is seeing most queries as an adversarial opportunity as opposed to a problem-solving methodology.
Certainly not what any of us at the table would like to do.
No.
And any specific examples, we're very keen to hear that.
All right, I might come back to you with those offline. Finally, I want to turn to you, Minister. You're not going to be able to answer this, but I need if you could take these on notice. Mr. Barker has been having issues that you would be well aware of, Ms. Spence. He has written to both the chair of this committee, Senator Sterle, who's not here, on the 30th of June and has not yet had a response. I'll turn to the RAC committee to ask questions about that, not in this meeting, but later. Mm-hmm. But Minister, I understand that that Mr. Barker wrote to Minister King on the 27th of June this year, and I don't believe has received a response. So I want to escalate this
I can take that
through you. Thank you. The issue is mainly that Mr. Barker feels that the process that he's gone through of the Fair Work Commission, the Commission of, and I've forgotten exactly what it's called, the internal one in CASA.
Industry Complaints Commissioner, yeah.
Okay, the Industry Complaints Commissioner, Minister, sits within CASA. And there is a level of distrust that is not independent and that it is too influenced by its location and its conversations. And so I think it is only reasonable the Minister take a look at this herself, please. Thank you. I'll come back to you offline with my specifics on those individuals.
And just, Senator, in relation to Mr Barker, one of the things we have been clear to him, if he's not satisfied with the independence of the Industry Complaints Commissioner, we've been very clear that the Ombudsman is probably the best option for him, and we've said we would do everything we can to cooperate with the Ombudsman to ensure that there is a independent hearing of the issues that he has with us.
Terrific. I think the Ombudsman stopped his or her investigation when the Fair Work Commission inquiry began.
Yeah,
so
but he could certainly go back to the Ombudsman and get that restarted.
Okay, I'll feed that back. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from your side that wants to take up the rest of the time?
Yep.
You have the call.
Thank you. Can I ask what's the current status of Part 43 regulatory reforms around CASA maintenance of aircraft in private and aerial work operations?
Senator, we've completed our consultation and engagement on that, and there's a recommendation with government in order to whether to make the regulations or not. So that'd be one better place to the department than us.
Okay, so CASA's provided advice to the Minister?
Yes.
And the government, okay. On how many occasions and on each occasion was that advice provided, or was it just the formal response to the...
Sorry, in relation to Part 43?
Yes.
I think probably the final piece of advice is once we completed our engagement with industry and did our consultation and provided a recommendation about the readiness for the part to be made. But I can certainly take that on notice if there's other pieces of advice.
Yeah, come back how many times. And what was... so what advice was recommended? What did that... sorry, it's late in the evening. What did that advice recommend?
CASA recommended on the basis of the engagement that we had that the regulation be made.
Sorry, I just missed that last bit.
That the regulation be made.
Okay. Did the advice include... I'd say it was to approve that the final changes be made to the regulations?
Correct, Senator.
Was CASA advice also to provide provided to the department?
That would be the mechanism for getting the advice to the Minister, would be through the department.
Through the department to the Minister. That answers my next question then. Has the Minister provided any direction or feedback on the advice provided by CASA?
No, Senator. Sorry, Senator, I'd have to take that on notice.
Thank you. And do you know, to your knowledge, has the Minister approved the changes to the regulations?
Sorry, Senator?
Has the Minister approved those changes?
No, Senator.
No, not yet?
No, Senator.
If so, is CASA aware of the reasons why the Minister has not approved those changes?
No, Senator.
Has the Minister or members of the Minister's office provided any direction, feedback to CASA on what the concerns might be in relation to the approval?
No, Senator.
Has CASA provided any advice back to the Minister or members of the Minister's office on those concerns?
We haven't had any concerns passed back to... We haven't had any concerns passed to us.
Sorry. I note that you took quite an extensive consultation process around Part 43 regulatory reforms. Is CASA aware of any ongoing industry stakeholder interests around changes to the Part 43 regulatory reforms since that consultation process?
Yes, Senator.
Can you provide a list of those stakeholders that expressed that interest?
Sorry. I wouldn't know if there's a list of stakeholders, but there are certainly various types of, people who are involved in aerial work have been interested in where it could benefit for them. Other operators who operate more in the air transport side of things have raised issues about how Part 43 would fit into our regulatory framework, but I might just refer to my colleague, Mr Campbell, if he's got anything further to add.
Yeah, hi Senator. Steve Campbell, Executive Manager, National Operations and Standards. There's a number of the Part 43 is a new set of regulations, and it will affect the smaller aircraft areas, particularly in ex-military, the Warbirds Association, some sport associations that could take benefit out of Part 43 and some of the alleviations that that new part will provide. Part 43 doesn't cover the larger end of town, so we don't hear from them on that.
And so what's the nature of the feedback that you've received from stakeholders then that have shown interest in it?
Yeah, so the associations are generally in favour because it will alleviate some of the sort of maintenance requirements that they'll have. We've had mixed feedback from licensed engineers, maintenance organisations out there that might say that the alleviations are sort of, in their view, a reduction in safety, but we've gone through that through consultation processes and answered all that through the summary consultations prior to submitting.
And are you familiar with whether or not any of those stakeholders have engaged with the Minister?
I'm not aware, Senator, sorry.
Minister, could you take that on notice, please, to come back to us? Thank you. So the question is if following the consultations as part of the review, whether there's been any engagement with the Minister's office from stakeholders. And if you could let us know also which stakeholders the Minister met with.
That's two questions there.
Yeah, correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As a subsequent. Has there been any other advice provided separately or in collaboration with the department?
Senator, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Has CASA sought advice from the department or the Minister or a member of the Minister's office on when approval could be expected?
I think we've asked the department whether advice has been provided to the Minister because it goes through them, but we're just being patient and waiting for.
Do you have an expectation as to when the approval will be given?
No, Senator. We've identified how we will go about implementing the part should it be made, so we're ready to go when we get the feedback, but so the system will continue if it doesn't.
So once you do get that approval, how long will it take for CASA to implement the reforms?
We've got a date of it's either 3 months or 6 months. Sorry, I can take that on notice. But from the date that the regulation's made, I'm going to say 6 months to when it becomes active. And so we've got all the prep work done to get ready for that date.
I see you've already sort of commenced in anticipation.
We've done a lot of the preparation work in anticipation, yeah.
Okay. And what process would need to be implemented with industry to provide advice and implementation guidance, and how long would that implementation process be? Is that included within that 6 months?
That's correct, Senator.
Okay.
Final questions.
Actually, you preempted me. That was the final.
Thank you. Senator Whitton, you have the call.
What's the usual procedure when a HOFO or a HOTOC leaves an organisation and they need to replace them?
Oh, Senator, both of those positions are mandatory requirements for an organisation to have in place. So, and I'll get my colleague Mr Butel to respond, but essentially an application is made to CASA. The individual is interviewed and assessed in terms of their capability and capacity to fill that role. But Mr Butel.
Yeah, thanks, Senator. Matthew Butel, Executive Manager, Regulatory Oversight. So essentially an application is made to CASA to replace a person. What we find is most organisations have an alternate person, so in the event that a HOFO, so a Head of Flying Operations, departs the organisation without notice, they have someone who can immediately fill that position. pardon me, and that goes the same as the head of training and checking as well. Where that's not the case, we also find where employment contracts state that you can't just leave the organisation overnight and leave them with a hole to fill. I think the other important part though to call out is that when we become aware of those circumstances, and I'm very aware of this circumstance, that we do prioritise that work as fast as we can.
And just to add to Mr Butel's answer, as I said, these are core positions, and so an airline can't operate if they don't have those key personnel in place who've been approved by CASA.
So if either one of those positions aren't filled, that cannot operate?
That's correct.
Yep, that's standard across the... Yep. So there's no discretion in the transitional provisions that they can stay operational if they've put forward... No,
it's under the Civil Aviation Act and then the conditions of Part 119 that requires those two positions to be filled.
Okay. How many staff does CASA have to perform the interviews? I won't hold you to it. You'd best guess.
Look, we've roughly got about, I don't know, I think about 70 people in our reg services team.
Okay. And how many HOTOC or HOFOs would you perform in a year, the interview process?
Oh, I couldn't answer that, Senator.
We'll take that on notice, Senator.
Thank you. So given there's a requirement to shut down a business once a HOTOC or HOFO resigns, would you agree that it's of the utmost importance to interview the subsequent applicant as soon as possible, particularly for a small business?
Yes, Senator.
Yes, Senator.
I ask these questions because in Western Australia there's a small family operation, Broome Aviation. Sounds like you're familiar with what I'm about to talk about. So, small tourism business, I've been operating for over 40 years in the top end. They had a HOTOC quit unexpectedly. They were told they must shut down on the 5th of September when the HOTOC quit. They lodged a new application that day or the next day. 3 days later, on the 8th of September, they got the invoice for CASA application interview and around $1,500. When they paid the next morning on the 9th, on the 22nd, almost 3 weeks after they were shut down, they reached out to my office. We made some calls and even visited the Perth office to try and get some help for them. They were essentially told, don't call us anymore, we'll let you know when we're coming out. Look, I won't go on. I'm pretty sure that business is going to shut down. After 40 years of operation, it doesn't seem like they've received the service that potentially they should have got in the circumstance that they are such a small business. They probably needed a bit of attention, a bit of help.
And as Mr Butel said, obviously when that was raised to Mr Butel's attention, we moved very quickly to offer them an interview. They then requested additional time to prepare for that interview, but we did move quickly following your visit to the Perth office.
Look, I understand there was probably some failures on their part as well, but it was that late in the stage they had nowhere to recover from that. Had that happened earlier on, they probably had some fuel left in the tank to survive beyond that. But as it stands, I don't think they're surviving it. So a small aviation business in the northwest of Western Australia that's been around for 40 years is now out of business.
Look, Senator, I think it's one of the really challenging things of being a regulator is actually ensuring that those things that are there for safety reasons are actually in place. And as Mr Butel said, there are other small operators around who can manage that, have that backup arrangements in place. So I totally understand what you're saying, and it's a bit like I was saying to the Senator before. We do appreciate the impact that we have on industry, and we do try to escalate things quickly.
I'm not sweeping aside any safety concerns or any of that at all. I'm happy that the planes stay in the air when they're meant to. However, could you take it on board that when a small operator is asking for help, that you maybe just move it up the list a little bit. They're not Qantas, they're not one of the big carriers.
No.
They do not have the fuel in the tank to survive extended periods of not being able to get service from you guys.
Yep, understood, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I believe that's all the questions for Civil Aviation Safety Authority. So thank you.
I'm so sorry, Chair, to find this. Just the sale.
One more question.
Yeah, it is. The sale of the Ayers Rock Resort and its airstrip to a US private equity fund, Journey Beyond. Is CASA aware of this sale?
I think we were aware that there was activity going on in the resort there, that the airstrip was attached to the resort. But to be honest, we don't have any approval roles relating to ownership. We just provide certification of the aerodrome itself.
But you do have responsibility for safety, and so are there any other foreign-owned airports in the country?
Senator, I've got
can you just on notice give me an appreciation and an understanding, because we heard Minister King has no jurisdiction and the ACCC doesn't manage AYQ's prices or service quality or safety.
Yep.
And so what consumer and airline protections are going to exist if it's a foreign-owned
Irrespective of the ownership of it, they'd have to meet our normal certification requirements from a safety perspective. But we've got
Can you look at it specifically, please?
Yep. Certainly, Senator.
Thank you, Senator McKennedy. Thank you, officers. And we will now have a very short break to